the more I'm online and on social media, the more I realize we're not working with the brightest people on those platforms. Now, again, that could be construed as me not being the brightest person, which is entirely possible. I do a lot of these videos literally, I guess, in my pajamas. I am in my pajamas. But I'm basically trying to get some of this information out there to help people make smarter decisions. Who am I? I'm Justin Hitt with Inside Strategic Relations, where we help you build your influence in areas that are meaningful by transforming the way you think and the connections that you have. I like to show that I'm just a regular guy. There's nothing special about me, but I've been able to do certain things in my life over the years that have taught me insights that can help you, as well as many mentors. And I'm literally in my basement. You can see there are camera angles there. I'm holding an old iPhone 7 up here to make this conversation. But it demonstrates two things. Number one, the internet is full of people who have very low barrier to entry and extremely low barrier to entry. I am literally here with an iPhone in my hand, and I'm talking to you all around the world, and I'm saying that we're not dealing with the smartest people online. You may not be aware that 80% of the Twitter content comes from 2 to 5% of the accounts. So that basically means that if you look at the state of Twitter and you think Twitter is full of bigots and it's full of whatever, and you generalize the entire population of that platform, then you are missing out on the fact that very few people who are on that platform, the audience is much bigger than the content providers. This is very important to understand. There's a reason they call folks on YouTube influencers. Of the millions and millions and millions of people and the hundreds of millions of minutes of content that goes on YouTube platform, again, it is less than 20% of the users who post content. I myself have more than, it's like 100 gigs of audio content and video content and everything on my server. It might be more than that now because I started using video. I am literally a columnist or commentator, kind of a journalist on the topics of critical thinking, on the topics of clear communications. I used to dress up for these videos, and now I'm just like, I don't care. The older I get, the less I care. Because when I get online and I post a video up, some jackass is going to be in the comments below and say, how can I follow your advice when you look like somebody from the Planet of the Apes? Oh, I've heard some shit. I've had somebody tell me to stay in my lane when it comes to some of the ecological content that I've written. And I've got certifications and internationally recognized in different areas. So the certifications are internationally recognized. I am not internationally recognized unless you subscribe to the channel. But ultimately, the folks on the internet, and I'm trying to get off as fast as I can I'm trying to stay off the internet because there's so many more exciting things that I can do in the real life, in the real world. And I just can't go into the detail of it because I don't really care if you follow me. What I do care is that you think carefully about what you're seeing online and in media. There are 4 corporations that own all of the mainstream media. 4 corporations. There's a consolidation across all areas. There always has been, where the minority sets the tone and narrative for the majority. Now, again, I understand why religions say that you have to throw off the things of the world and focus your mind and focus your heart on God, or focus your mind and heart on doing the good thing, is because the majority of those who scream loudest often have mental issues. Many of those who scream loudest and claim that you've got to do such and such, even in my own case, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. That's why I come to you as I am. If we met each other in real life, it is quite possible my hair would be all disheveled and my beard might not be combed perfectly, and I might be wearing a Def Leppard t-shirt and wearing a pair of coveralls. And I come to you as I am because I want to share a message that's important, that we have to look beyond the veil. There are filters that I could put on here to make myself all chiseled shad jaw and make my hair, incredible, and maybe have little sunglasses or something like that. Those are cosmetics. those are cosmetics. What matters in your ability to make decisions and your ability to get results in life is what goes on in your heart. It's the decisions you make by critical thinking and clarity of decision. So this is important. This is very important because accessibility is so low. I literally, let me just give you a little wave. So this is my basement office. It's being packed up because we're moving. I'm downsizing. If you've been following some of the videos, there's different things that I'm doing in my life here. But typically, somebody looks at this and they look at old videos and they're like, "Well, he's not in one of them business offices. He's not a millionaire. He's not showing me he's not in a giant house with hot-looking girls behind him, and he doesn't have famous friends." So his advice must not be good. Well, you look at P. Diddy, you look at Jeffrey Epstein, you look at all these people that are in high places and then who have such credibility and credentials when it comes to their wealth and prosperity, and they struggle. And they struggle. While all of us regular people out here are making decisions based on what the influencers tell us, rather than taking time to self-assess and make decisions based on their own mind and reason. Now, we have to assume that our own decisions have been persuaded, modified, even influenced by the network of those who shape the narrative. So they tell you a certain president is bad, and they tell you that a certain thing was an insurrection. They tell you that that we're here to protect you, or they're telling you that they have an emergency decision to prevent the government from shutting down, but we don't ask the question, why is it shutting down? What behaviors in the past were incongruent and caused issues that could have the need for a shutdown? What are we missing? Now, that's a 5 whys analysis methodology, and where you're going to look at something and you're going to say, well, why is it this way? And then whatever response you have, you're going to ask, why is it that way? And you're going to keep drilling down till you get what's called a root cause. So one of the reasons that I come to you as I am, I'm not trying to front. Now, in the past, I would shave all nice and neat, and I'd comb my hair just right, and I'd wear my suit and tie, and I own 3 tuxedos. I might as well just show up in a tuxedo. But over the years, I guess as I got to be an old codger, I just show up as I am because it's more important what I'm thinking and what I'm doing than some of the cosmetics. And you may not like the way I look, and that's okay. But you may want to listen carefully because I've been able to synthesize the experience of others, and I start to realize that sometimes the shiniest object is meant to be shiny for distraction, and the object that requires a little bit of work, the rough diamond. The story Acres of Diamonds is just as good today. Russell Conwell talked about a farmer who sold off his farm to go search for diamonds, not realizing that his farm was covered with them. And where the next person who knew what diamonds looked like found that the rough stones in his creek, with a simple bit of polish, turned out to be extremely valuable diamonds. Now, if you know a little bit more, you realize the story's kind of bullshit, because diamonds today have no value. Diamonds today are only valuable if they're cut and they're put in the jewelry, and they're actually quite plentiful. But the analogy still has value. See, you don't have to believe the book is true in order to learn valuable lessons from its stories. See, so Russell Cromwell's Acres of Diamonds, taken as a metaphor, helps you realize that sometimes you already have the strength and blessings and the opportunities right in front of you, and you don't have to go chase the opportunities that they keep trying to sell to you. See, this is extremely powerful. When we're in coaching, I'll say things sometimes that people will be like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'll say, well, what do you mean it doesn't make any sense? And then they start trying to explain it, why it doesn't make any sense. And they're basically selling themselves on why it makes a lot of sense. So for example, when I say to somebody, what's your goal? And they say, I want to earn $1 million. Great. How soon would you like to earn $1 million? And they say, well, as fast as possible. Well, how fast is fast? We're going down the whys or the whats, okay? How fast is fast? Immediately. I want $1 million right now. Great. Is that realistic? Do you have $1 million right now all of a sudden? Do you have a means for $1 million right now? Do you have the credibility in the marketplace to borrow $1 million? You could get $1 million instantaneously if you have $10 million already in the bank and you walk into a bank branch and you just borrow $1 million. That's the way it works. Maybe you got friends in high places and they can make decisions to give you $1 million. But what's the cost of the $1 million? So even if you could invent the most powerful thing and you just became an internet sensation and you got $1 million by the end of the month in your hand, what's the cost to get it? And are you willing to pay it? And then by the end, they're like, oh my gosh, Justin, I didn't realize this. And then I say, well, let's do a written plan. Okay, I find out that if you're willing to write something down, or you're willing to present it to somebody, or you're willing to outline it at least, that very often you either realize it's complete garbage or it's possible. Now, a plan written down is more possible than a plan that just you don't write down and you just do whatever the hell you want each day. But ultimately, the critical thinking to understand the difference between a narrative someone is setting upon you or the narrative you write for yourself, it's incredibly powerful. So what's the narrative you write for yourself? How are you going to present yourself in this world? Is it valuable? See, I know I lose a lot of people when they see me the way I look. But I don't lose myself because I just, I look this way. I'm not putting on a front. I'm not having to pretend to be somebody else. And with all the quirks and problems that I have, I continue to move forward because I got a clear plan. Now, will I move forward as fast as I need to? I would always love it to go faster. I'm constantly saying I got so much to do and so little gets accomplished, and then I have to correct myself to say, well, what can I get done? What can I get done? What would it look like if I had success today? If I had $1 million, would I do anything differently? What's the benefit of these things that I'm desiring to do? How does it serve me in the future? And then I sit down and outline a plan, put together a project, decide what the deliverables are, identify the resources I have available, what resources do I need. I write out a plan, and then I realize after writing out the plan, I can't have 5 plans. I got to work on like 2 or 3 plans. And then if I'm going to work on 2 or 3 plans, what today have I done to work on the one plan that is the most important? And so sometimes you have to, through substitution, or elimination, there's not enough time to do all the things I want. Ideally, I would probably wear like the same karate uniform every day. I would wear very simple clothing every day. I've stopped buying clothes and new stuff. I'm literally going to wear all the stuff I had because I realized one day I don't need 3 tuxedos. I have 30 suits. 30 suits. Most guys can have 1 suit jacket and 2 pairs of pants and come up with 5 outfits. You have to have like probably 2 different shirts. And I just, too much. So now I am working in the extremes by going the other direction and saying how little can I work with? How can I get better use out of the things I've got? But anytime I've explored any of these things, and it's going to be different for you, by the way, but anytime I've explored these things, I've always come out ahead. And so I want to leave you at the last bit. You defined your success. Yes, there's a lot of people out there saying that you've got to be like P. Diddy and you've got to have, a record label and you've got to have a fancy car or 5 fancy cars, or you've got to know and have dinner with famous people and you've got to have political connections. And I do teach methodologies that can get you those things. But if you apply them in your local city and town, if you apply them in your local and regional business activities, you will be more stable and more able to get the results. Now, even if my worst enemies watch these videos, they're going to benefit and they're going to learn something. And they're going to be able, if they apply it in their business, to get better. But there's a certain ethic that's required. Now, remember, I mentioned you can read a book and not agree with the premise of it, but find something valuable in the story. This is why I read religious texts, historical books and documents, books that have lasted over the years and over the time, and then ultimately the biographies of individuals. So all of those core stories will end up in movies and different environments and everything. And the entertainment is a flavor of life. But if you're distracted by the shiny object that they're putting out in front of you, or the way they think you should live, and you haven't assessed internally what is right for you, then you'll be constantly lost. You'll be in a consumer mindset rather than a producer mindset. See, I believe the producer mindset helps you accomplish more, helps you be in the right place at the right time, helps you connect with meaningful and right people, helps you deliver outcomes and results, and produces for you the critical foundation of a quality life. Now, again, if you go into the detail of my life from the outside, it doesn't always look very good. And I'll admit from the inside, it can be frustrating. But I have a methodology for reassessment, for deep diving or meditating and understanding what is appropriate for me, and then a means of correction. Applying this with critical thinking skills, communication skills, and other aspects that move you forward, you will get to the results that you're looking for. Again, because you're moving forward, because you're building a foundation, because you don't have skeletons hidden in your closet, because you don't have all these problems and challenges, because you haven't built a false front. It's not easy at all, by the way. I have been... let me just say that if you take the straight and narrow path, if you live a simple life, you'll always be criticized because everybody else is trying to justify all the dumb shit they're doing, and they're ultimately, judging you rather than looking deep into their own self to judge themselves. I have to work on this a little bit because I get offended by people. I see a lot of YouTube comments, and I'm like, I feel like I got to prove myself, I guess, because, I don't know why, but I'm doing that less and less. Because ultimately, I'm more and more satisfied with who I am as a person. I don't need to change. I don't need some outside person to tell me how I should be or what I should feel guilty for or not feel guilty for. I listen to other people's opinions and I think, well, where are they coming from? But then ultimately, where am I going? If you want to move in a similar way, simplify your life to get more and better measurable results, then consider our coaching program at www.insidestrategicrelations.com, where we help you transform business relationships into profits guaranteed. We're going to define what profits are to you because it's not the same for everybody. We're going to look at your time frame, available resources. We're going to look at what your commitment is. Are you willing to pay the price that's necessary to get to where you want to go? And then serious-minded people are going to get help from myself and parts of the community and resources and the library of materials I've collected over the years so that you get measurable results. These results don't come solitarily. If you're a hermit out in the woods all by yourself, it might be more entertaining because, again, there's not the smartest people on the internet. But ultimately, you will get results. And in my case, I'm quickly getting more busy I'm more busy producing, not just producing content, but producing other things than I am able to consume. And I even feel bad when I consume on the internet, watch internet for a couple hours. I feel like I'm not going to get that time back. Why would I do that when I got so many other things that I can do? Now, in this, I'm simplifying stuff. You may not like this format, but please take the time to see past what the surface, to deep dive into your own life, to deep dive into your own activities, to deep dive into what it is that you want from this world and how you can achieve it day by day, inch by inch. And I want to thank you for being a part of what we do here. I'm Justin Hitt from Inside Strategic Relations, where we help you transform business relationships into profits guaranteed. And if you want to give feedback in the comments below, I'm sure that'll help the algorithm. If you think I'm a complete idiot, go ahead and tell me. I'm caring less and less, but it is fodder for new content and materials. So I'm more than happy to hear your opinion. But if you're struggling with something, if you're frustrated about something, don't put it out in the public. You can contact us direct at www.insidestrategicrelations.com, and I'll see you in the next one.